Hello and welcome to the TG Averatec-Intel Classic. This is Nick Tasteless Plot broadcasting to you from Seoul, Korea. It's a real pleasure to be down here. We are in week 4 of the tournament, and that means we are in the top 32 right now. We're about to go into the final 16 after this week. Very exciting, and by the way, we have some very exciting games that we're going to be bringing to you today. The matchup, all the matchups for today, starting with the first game, is going to be Flash versus HiyA, a Terran versus Terran. Flash, of course, the winner of the GSI, and a very well-known Terran. A lot of people predict he will be reaching the #1 spot in KESPA fairly soon here. Next, we're going to have Child versus Lucifer, a Zerg versus Protoss, two very strong players, actually both winning in upsets in their previous games. Child defeating July Zerg. Meanwhile, Lucifer defeated Firebat Hero. Talk about an impressive two players here. I'm very interested in seeing who's going to advance in that match. And after that, we're going to have a Protoss versus Zerg, Anytime versus Dragoon. I'm sure you all know Anytime. He's a very well-known Protoss player. He's been around for a while, a seasoned pro gamer at that. Dragoon, a pretty well-known 2-on-2 player, did manage to beat Huni in one of the previous games and also got a direct seed, as did Anytime, into this tournament. I think it's going to be a pretty entertaining series there as well. And finally, we're going to have a Protoss versus Terran, Yoon versus Memory. Memory actually defeating Adamus, a player who's also known as Cassie. You probably know him better under that ID. Very, very strong Terran player. And at the same time, Yoon defeated Nada, so that's pretty exciting as well. So we have some very, very interesting games today. I'm not sure how any of them are going to turn out. I think the easiest one to predict will probably be, I would say, Anytime versus Dragoon, although I think Flash has a pretty strong chance against HiyA, despite the fact that HiyA has been doing so well lately, especially in Terran versus Terran. The map lineup for the tournament is going to be Colosseum first, Andromeda second, and finally Othello. And I think these are going to be some great games. Thank you again to our sponsors at Intel. Without you guys, this would not be possible. Definitely check out the Averatec-Intel. It is the #1 selling PC in Asia right now. And also, if you're looking for some other English VODs, I know that you can find some of the TSL at Team Liquid. Check that out, too. Some very exciting games, too, there. And by the way, I have already beaten Metal Gear Solid 4. Very good game. I was definitely pleased. Konami definitely knows how to make some excellent games. Great storytelling abilities by Hideo Kojima. I believe that's how you say his name. So, as I've said before, we're getting rapidly close to the finish line of this event. Pretty soon here, we're only going to have 16 players left. And again, I can't say it enough. The games are just getting better and better and better. These players all incredible quality. I mean, we had 128 people when this tournament started out. That makes this the largest professional gaming tournament in Korea right now. We also have the largest prize pool, which means these players are practicing diligently in the hopes that they can take home some of this cash. And it is certainly, of course, a very respectable tournament to win. This is a seasonal tournament, so when this finishes, we will be having, of course, another classic brought to you by GOM TV. This is only Season 1. This is only the beginning. So here are these two players, Flash and HiyA. Flash is one of my favorite players. He is just an impeccable Terran player. If you haven't already, check out the games of the GOM TV StarCraft Invitational, where Flash won among 16 pro gamers, all the best of the best. He is also one of the youngest pro gamers there. You can see both players talking to each other right now in the game. They have both joking around with each other. Flash is only 15 in American age, in Korean age that makes him 17. And I think HiyA's got a tough game ahead of him, but this does not mean that HiyA cannot win this. HiyA's been doing very well lately, and especially in Terran versus Terran, and he did say that he feels very confident in Terran versus Terran as well. So this should be a pretty entertaining series. Colosseum, of course, going to be the first map, which makes this going to be, well, it's going to be very very exciting to see how these players play this out. There's a lot of different build orders you can use on a map like Colosseum. There doesn't seem to be one right way to play it, one correct way to go about doing things in this matchup on this map, Colosseum. So I'm curious if we're going to see Command Center first. We could even see some proxying due to the architecture of the map. You can build in the middle. We're going to have to wait and see. Both players have confirmed that they're ready on the monitor I have, which is connected to our GOM TV observer. So I think pretty soon here, we're going to get this game starting whenever our Korean commentators decide to wind up whatever they're saying right now. And thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. This should be pretty entertaining. Here we have Flash at the top left. He's the green Terran. Flash, I believe he's ranked second right now in Kespa. And here, of course, is HiyA, a very strong Terran versus Terran player, already defeating. Well, he was seeded in this tournament earlier, but he's already knocked out his previous opponent in a Terran versus Zerg. Flash doing the same thing here, also defeating his opponent in a Terran versus Zerg in the previous game, defeating Junie. Terran versus Terran is a matchup which requires an incredible amount of patience, and decision-making is critical. It's also, generally speaking, the matchup that takes the longest amount of time to complete. That is because Terran, since the game is mainly centered around the siege tank, Terran don't have a lot of mobility. And since they don't have a lot of mobility, it becomes a lot like a big chess game on the map of trying to secure specific locations and setting up defenses there. You have to use dropships a lot. Oh, I guess we're getting a shot at me now. Thank you again for tuning in and watching. I'm really excited to see how this game's going to turn out. As you can see, I kind of got a little faux hawk going on here. It kind of looks like a shark fin, though, creating a rift of death behind me wherever I go. It's always startling when I'm casting these games and suddenly I realize there's a camera on me, because the monitor that got me now is the same one for what you guys are seeing right now, so can be a little bit startling. And look at this, I think we're going to see the barracks built in the middle of the map. Now this might not be a proxy strategy, or in fact no, he might just be checking for the proxy actually. Players like Flash are at a higher risk of all-in rushes happening to them, because a lot of times these lower-level gamers think, all right, well, look, I can't beat this guy in the long run, so I might as well try to do something all-in and see if I can't just out-micro him. And indeed, Flash is going to be going for the fast command center. On the other hand, HiyA is actually going to be going for a pretty standard Terran versus Terran build, getting that gas up there pretty quickly. He'll be going for the factory, and then we'll really figure out what he's doing after the first factory's out. Will he be going for a tank? Maybe he'll be going for some vultures, get a starport. There's a lot of different options from there. But it'll depend a lot on whether or not he finds out that his opponent has fast expanded in time. And in fact, it looks like he will, because he's already sending out his units now. Unfortunately for Flash, he's going to find his opponent last. I'm actually surprised Flash didn't wall in. That's a bit confusing. That would have blocked his opponent off from getting any sort of intelligence about what was going on here. It's pretty easy to wall off on this map. You only need a depot and a barracks. And now we see Flash has spotted his opponent. Flash only transferring 3 SCVs. Oh no, excuse me, he's going to transfer 4 now. Now, it's a little bit tricky when you fast expand as Terran, because you are susceptible to a multitude of different rushes from your opponent. However, if you can survive that, you're usually ahead economically. And as you can see, looks like HiyA's going to come out here trying to harass the SCV, which is building the first bunker. He will manage to take it out. Down 1 SCV. Now, the reason why the Terran get the bunker So, okay, and I see what he's doing. He will wall in. Just with a bunker and a barracks rather than a supply depot and a barracks. Terran will always get one bunker, or at least make the bunker at 99% completion and then cancel it if they don't see the Vulture on the way. That's because the Vulture is the first most likely rush possibility that you could see coming from an opposing Terran player if you fast expand. And yeah, he looks like he's going to park that Vulture up there just to harass the barracks, maybe force his opponent to take a few SCVs off of the minerals and repair that. Next will probably be the tank coming out here for HiyA. Meanwhile, Flash is almost finished his add-on. He'll have to get siege mode here very quickly, or he will be at risk of some very serious harassment from the siege tanks taking out this entrance point. And we're not going to see an expansion, a second expansion here too soon from either of the players. It's going to be a little bit about attacking and defending. Look at this from Flash. We're going to see double starport, a little bit of a risky strategy, going for the raids. And we see that HiyA, we're both, actually, let me just put it like this. Both players are going for almost opposite tech patterns, which should make this game pretty interesting, or at least it's going to be interesting to see how this game unfolds, whose tech pattern is more appropriate, and of course, whose decision-making is better. Both are good right now. However, I think Flash's is a little bit more fragile because, well, HiyA will have access to Goliath. Here's the first raid. They will take out this barracks. That will prevent HiyA from making additional factories until that barracks is remade. However, getting raids out like this early on can also deflect a very, very early tank push, just because the Terran now is forced to get Goliath. It also gives the Terran who gets the raids a little bit more map control early on, especially if they get the cloak. They can do a lot of hit and run attacks, forcing the Terran to save scans and not scan around the map to spot the next expansion. Instead, they have to scan the wraiths. And you cannot afford to take too much damage with those raids. And every wraith counts in a moment like this. At the same time, though, HiyA is actually pushing Flash right off the bat. He's not even going to waste his time. He will have to use his scans wisely, or at least get one turret up here. So this means that Flash will be contained at this point in time. Now, contains on a map like Colosseum are going to be pretty strong. This also means that our purple player, HiyA, should be able to get another expansion up here pretty soon. Alright, so we see the Wraith attacking. The scan has been thrown down. It looks like Flash may lose that tank. No, managed to pull it back just in time. And nice moves over here by Flash. Wow, just barely out of range, or excuse me, out of sight range of his opponent's tanks. Talk about really good micro there, putting them right just barely out of the sight range. Then when the Wraiths move in there and take a peek, so tanks can shoot farther than they can actually see, so you can use a flying unit as a spotter. Looks like he will manage to take out this tank again. HiyA has lost control of this game, and it looks like Flash may come in here with some complete and total domination. I also believe that if I can see correctly on the minimap, it's hard to see purple, but I believe that he has expanded already. We may see Flash get pretty aggressive here. Another factory now going down for Flash. Now, how is HiyA going to respond to this? HiyA going with the Goliath tank combination. Meanwhile, Flash going with the tank Wraith. Both pretty standard combinations in this matchup. Both with different abilities. And it looks as though he has spotted the expansion, so we may see Flash respond quickly here. And Flash will, in fact, well, they're both going to get that expansion up at about the same time. As you can see, Flash's factory count is ahead of HiyA's because Flash did take that barracks out. And now Flash is, I believe, starting to edge forward. He did just get scanned, so he immediately sieges up. That's probably because he's worried that his opponent was about to approach him. It's not uncommon to immediately go into siege mode in Terran versus Terran if you see yourself getting scanned, because it usually means the opposing army is right outside of your location. Scanning, well, the decision-making for scanning, very, very critical in a matchup like Terran versus Terran, because, of course, if you walk into your opponent's siege line early on, I mean, you can lose everything within seconds. That's not good, obviously. The Academy's going to come out a little bit later for Flash. He's been using his Wraiths to scout rather than anything else. Neither player can really get too close to the other. Although it looks like HiyA's initial intention was to make sure the Flash couldn't get that mineral natural, so instead Flash is going to go over here, although in general mineral naturals or mineral expansions are pretty worthless in Terran versus Terran because so much of the game is focused around getting the Vespian gas. All the units you want in Terran versus Terran require an abundant amount of Vespian gas. The scanners are almost finished. Meanwhile, you can see Flash is continuing to use Wraiths to scout around the map, although he is very susceptible to dropships dropping on his siege tanks when those Wraiths are not accompanying his army. Whoa, and HiyA has overstepped his limits, I believe, and he will lose a small cluster of siege tanks. Flash losing only one, I believe, although, note, HiyA does have a barracks over here, so he will have a little bit of a sight advantage. Now Flash bringing some more tanks down here. He only has 2 tanks left. Flash really taking control of this game. And I think we may see Flash go in here for a killing blow. HiyA has lost. Okay, he has 3 tanks total, 4-5. But he's losing them at a rate that I believe is going to be very unforgiving. Getting closer and closer to HiyA's base. And look at this. He's been taking out so many tanks. Flash in complete and total control of this game. HiyA is falling apart. The barracks has been taken out. I don't think this could get any worse for HiyA right now. HiyA, excuse me. I love that name. It's the same sound that ninjas make when they attack. Taking out even more tanks. Flash is now beginning to dominate the map completely. Flash ahead in an expansion, ahead in the tank count, and more than likely ahead in the overall supply count. HiyA desperately trying to catch up by producing a lot of factories. And it looks like he's going to snipe this tank as well. Flash has now completely contained HiyA. He's sending a few SCVs down here. I think he will be building some turrets, or maybe he just wants to repair those tanks. Turrets not necessarily a necessity right now. Goliath is very strong against the Wraiths, so those Wraiths have to kind of edge around the Goliaths to try to take the tanks out at the corners. And I think we could see Flash go in for the killing blow here pretty soon if he can penetrate his contained opponent, HiyA. We do see a turret perimeter getting set up around his base. And Flash is going in here. He's going to try to get this expansion. This could be the GG move here if he does secure it. As you can see, the siege tanks are in range of the SCVs. These SCVs will have to evacuate. See HiyA not doing too well right now. I have never seen a facial expression quite like that one. Now has 3 dropships. HiyA's going to try to do something to come out and counter, and it looks like, oh god, don't do it, HiyA! It's a trap! Turrets are everywhere, and here they are now. Looks like this one dropship will barely survive. And some more siege tanks are coming over here to prevent this push from getting any further. HiyA probably should have used those siege tanks in the dropships and the Goliaths in the dropships to drop on the attack over here. Now try to do a counteroffensive, because even if Flash were to lose this expansion, he would have more than enough so that it wouldn't actually end up getting behind. Wow, Flash in complete and total control this game. I don't know what exactly a purple Terran can do to come back and win this. This is just bad, man. I don't know. Flash got control of this game so quickly, so very quickly. And it was one thing led to another, and it just snowballed his way to victory. Now he's going to try to break out. And it looks like he actually will manage to do this with Flash and siege tank line so spread out. I don't know how far across the map he's going to be able to get, though. Looks like Flash intentionally target firing all of the siege tanks. So, oh, yeah, and just the Doom Wraiths are in here now, taking out whatever is left of HiyA's army, and he might have to go back into his base. Looks like he does not have enough scans. Wow. Talk about total domination by Flash here. HiyA having no control of resources now. The command center is under fire. It looks like the rest of the Goliaths will be taken down here. No, maybe not. So the science facility's already up. I think Flash is probably already upgrading +2. That would be my guess, at least. And, okay, we do see HiyA slowly pushing out here. Flash's tanks are a bit spread out because he is attempting to put a siege location on that HiyA expansion. So Flash going to have to control his units pretty carefully now. But the farther that HiyA gets across the map, the more naked he becomes. And you can see Flash already has a +1. HiyA ahead in the upgrades, though. That really does make a difference in a Terran versus Terran matchup, especially with siege tanks versus siege tanks. Another expansion for Flash. Flash dominating almost every gas expansion on the map. And, well, it looks as though HiyA's made some headway on the map, but he has not actually made it to any expansions just yet, which means he isn't really accomplishing too much with this push in the middle of the map. Okay, HiyA does have an expansion secured over here at the bottom right. That is his only hope right now. I'm surprised that Flash hasn't actually attacked that just yet. Now here comes the first attack by Flash, by HiyA to try to take out this expansion. And it looks like he's bringing some SCVs over here to use the splash damage on the other siege tanks. A scan goes down, but look at this. Flash is everywhere. Oh, wow. And they just disappeared. Okay, so it's going to be up to whether or not HiyA can continue to make any damage over here. The problem is that Flash has so many expansions, he can produce so many units so quickly. There's just very little that HiyA can do right now. I know I've said it a million times, but I just can't reiterate it enough. He has no map control. He has hardly any expansions at all, and I believe his main, his primary expansion is going to be depleted here pretty soon. And it looks like now here comes HiyA once again, going to try to move up here. But look at this. Flash has already spotted the expansion. He's going to go in for the kill move. And I think this is going to trigger HiyA to turn around and try to save that expansion or go in for an all-in counteroffensive. Either one, I believe, will result in GG. There it is. Good game. HiyA has been beaten in a flash. Look at that. There's our winner. What a baller. Flash is so good. He's already had one game. Can he pull it out with a 2-0, or will it go to a third? We'll find out here soon enough. Flash versus HiyA. Flash up in an advantage right now. And I am very impressed with Flash's Terran versus Terran playing style. I mean, he started out with a small advantage, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I think it really, I mean, the first advantage right off the bat was when he managed to deflect that initial push, and he made that look easy, putting those siege tanks just barely out of the sight range of the opposing siege tanks. And then with a quick peek with his wraiths, getting the first shot on them with his siege tanks. And that was when it really just started to fall apart for HiyA. And then eventually he pushed his way all the way to the back, I guess to the front of his opponent's base. And there was just little that HiyA could do. HiyA was systematically destroyed by Flash back there. Well played by Flash. This is why he is the #1 Terran in the world right now. At the age of only 15, very impressive. Our next map is going to be Andromeda. Andromeda, a very interesting map also. Again, I don't believe we've really figured this map out, so to speak, as far as Terran versus Terran goes. Terran versus Terran, a map with a lot of different build orders. I'm curious to see how these two players will play it out in this series. And of course, thank you again to our sponsors. Without this, you guys would not be possible. Thank you again, Intel. It is appreciated. And I just got informed I need to hold the microphone